Under a midnight sky woven with stars, Prince Alaric finds himself beckoned by an ancient force, drawn into a realm beyond the mortal. Tonight, as you settle into the quiet, let this tale of cosmic mystery guide your mind towards sleep. Hear the stars whisper to Alaric, drawing him to face trials of courage, truth, and transformation. Follow his journey as he discovers the secrets of the heavens, becoming a guardian of the light. As you drift off, feel the gentle embrace of the stars, as if you too are part of their endless tapestry, bound by stardust and silence. Under the dome of midnight, thick with shimmering lights and woven shadows, Prince Alaric sat alone on the grand marble balcony that overlooked his slumbering kingdom. Each evening, he sought solace in the quiet embrace of the night. But tonight, the air felt different, charged with a presence he couldn't quite place. The stars, usually still and serene, seemed alive with a flickering energy, whispering in a language just beyond his understanding. He leaned forward, letting the silence settle into his bones, feeling the weight of the unknown pressing upon him. The stars twinkled brighter, their whispers coiling into the cool night breeze, drifting down from the heavens. At first, the sound was barely discernible, a mere trickle of sensation. But as Alaric closed his eyes and stilled his breath, he could feel it. Their voices, as soft as sighs and as ancient as the earth itself. They called his name, weaving it into the cadence of their silent song, drawing him into their timeless rhythm. Alaric felt a shiver slide down his spine, half fear, half exhilaration. What could the stars possibly want from him? He strained to hear, and in the silence, words began to form like beads of dew on the edge of his consciousness. Alaric, soul-bearer, seek the path beyond the veil. The whispering grew louder, blending with the pulse of his own heart, and Alaric knew without question that the stars held secrets, secrets that once revealed would change his life forever. He thought of all the stories he had heard as a child, of brave heroes and mystical realms, tales of beings who straddled the borders of the known world and the unknowable beyond. Could these stories have been true? Could he, a mere prince bound to the earth by duty, be destined for such a path? The stars' murmurings grew louder, their secrets spilling forth in pieces and fragments, a riddle unfurling in the night. Images filled his mind, disjointed yet vibrant, a cosmic hall of glowing constellations, a path paved with stardust, and a figure cloaked in shadow and light, waiting, beckoning him forward. The vision faded, leaving only a yearning so deep it ached. As the whispers faded into silence, Alaric was left alone with a sense of longing that wrapped around him like the night's chill. The stars had told him of a prophecy, of a kingdom that existed far above his own, hidden in the veil of night. It was a realm governed by celestial laws, where spirits walked freely among stars, and ancient wisdom pulsed within the fabric of the cosmos. Only one with a soul open to the call of the stars could enter, and Alaric knew inexplicably that he was such a one. A strange urgency filled him, a need to confirm what he'd heard and seen, to follow this otherworldly calling. He stood and walked, half dazed, through the empty halls of his palace, his mind a whirlpool of images and questions. The guards, accustomed to his late-night musings, paid him no heed, and so he passed unnoticed into the ancient wing of the palace grounds, where his ancestors once studied the heavens with the fervour of scholars and the reverence of priests. This place had long been forgotten, left to the dust and shadows of time, but tonight it pulsed with a life that mirrored the stars above. At the heart of this old wing lay the grand observatory, a vast dome-like structure that arched overhead like the sky itself. Alaric's steps echoed as he entered, his breath catching as he beheld the sight within. In the centre of the observatory stood a colossal silver mirror. Its polished surface shimmered under the starlight, reflecting not his face, but the heavens above. And within its surface, something stirred. An invitation, perhaps, or a challenge. The stars whispered again, their message clearer this time, their words flowing through him like an ancient river. Step forth, Prince Alaric, for only those who seek the unknown may tread the path of the stars. Compelled by an invisible hand, he reached out, fingers brushing the mirror's cool surface. The moment his skin met the silver, a surge of energy coursed through him. The world around him began to fade, the walls of the observatory dissolving into swirls of light and shadow, the weight of his earthly body lifting. He was floating now, suspended in a vast sea of stars, untethered and unbound. His last thought as the earth faded was that he was leaving behind everything he had known. His kingdom, his title, his very identity, to embrace the mystery of the stars. The sky, vast and eternal, had opened its arms to him, and he stepped forward without fear, ready to uncover the secrets it held. And as he drifted into the heart of the heavens, he felt the stars' gentle embrace, their whispers now a song, guiding him toward a destiny written in the night's own ink. When Alaric opened his eyes, the world he beheld was one of boundless stars, suspended in a darkness deeper and more vivid than any earthly night. He floated in a cosmic sea, surrounded by constellations that gleamed like silent sentinels, casting silver light that swirled around him in ethereal ribbons. The heavens pulsed with life, each star humming with a quiet power that resonated deep within him, like an unspoken truth. He had crossed a threshold, leaving behind the mortal world, his kingdom, his very self. Here, he was no longer Prince Alaric of any earthly realm. Here, he was something far more elemental. An echo, a spark, a whisper of something ancient. Before him stretched a pathway, woven from stardust, shimmering and translucent, leading into the heart of this strange, celestial realm. Compelled by a pull that he could neither name nor resist, Alaric began to drift along this path, each step weightless, as if the very air around him buoyed his form. Stars arched overhead in constellations he'd only read about in ancient texts, each shape more intricate and alive than he had ever imagined. There was Orion's belt, gleaming with the wisdom of ages, Cassiopeia's throne, a majestic cluster casting a cool, regal glow, and the Great Bear, a watchful guardian poised against the dark canvas of eternity. As he walked, he felt a presence looming in the distance. A towering, shadowed structure formed not from stone or metal, but from pure starlight and shadows. The Hall of Constellations. Its walls were translucent, yet impossibly solid, like a barrier woven from dreams and forgotten memories. A wide archway led into the hall, its edges lined with constellations that pulsed as if alive. Alaric felt a quiver of anticipation in his chest as he stepped through the archway and into the hall's vast expanse. Inside, the hall was a cathedral of the cosmos, its ceiling an unbroken dome of shimmering light, as if someone had captured a piece of the night sky and set it into place. Stars dotted the darkness above, forming constellations that danced and shifted in a silent symphony. Alaric took in the sight, feeling as though he stood within the very heart of the heavens, a sacred place beyond mortal reach. And there, in the center of the hall, she awaited him, the star-bound oracle. She was a figure of strange beauty, neither young nor old, draped in robes woven from starlight that shimmered and shifted as if alive. Her face was shadowed, and yet her eyes glowed with the brilliance of distant galaxies, filled with knowledge that reached beyond time. Alaric felt himself drawn toward her, each step bringing with it a sense of reverence and humility he hadn't known he possessed. The oracle's voice filled the hall, a sound like the clash of distant waves mingled with the echo of the wind across forgotten mountains. "Prince Alaric," she spoke, her voice both a whisper and a command. "You stand upon the threshold of a path few have dared to tread. Here, beyond the veil of stars, lies a realm of power and wisdom, but also of trials that will test the depths of your soul." Alaric bowed his head, feeling the weight of her words settle upon him. He had not come here seeking power, nor even wisdom, but he understood that this journey would reveal to him truths he had never before glimpsed. "I am ready, Oracle," he replied, his voice steady, yet laced with awe. "Tell me of these trials." She extended her hand, and 3 constellations flared to life around her, forming a luminous triangle in the dark expanse. The wolf, the serpent, and the phoenix. Each constellation pulsed with a distinct energy, as if they held their own sentient force, alive and watchful. The oracle's gaze lingered on each constellation as she spoke. "The wolf represents your first trial," she began, her voice deepening with an ancient gravity. "It is the challenge of courage, where you must face the shadows within, the fears that lurk in the heart and mind. Only by embracing your vulnerability will you uncover the strength that lies hidden within." Alaric nodded, feeling the weight of the trial settle upon him. The wolf's constellation glimmered fiercely, a promise of a confrontation yet to come. "The serpent," the oracle continued, her gaze shifting to the sinuous shape of stars, "represents the trial of truth. Here, illusion and reality will blend, and only through clarity of sight and heart will you discern what is real. It is the trial of inner clarity, a challenge not all can overcome." Alaric felt his pulse quicken, his spirit prepared for the unveiling of truths he might have kept hidden even from himself. And finally, the oracle's gaze turned toward the phoenix, a constellation ablaze with vibrant light. "You will face the trial of transformation. To pass through this trial, you must be willing to release all that you hold dear, even your memory of the life you left behind. Only by surrendering to the unknown will you rise renewed, prepared to carry the weight of the heavens." Alaric's heart tightened at her words. To let go of all that he was, all he knew, to transcend the boundaries of his own identity. This, he realized, was the essence of the journey before him. The oracle's eyes softened, though her voice remained unwavering. "Few complete these trials, for they demand not only strength, but a soul bound to the path of the stars. Do you accept these challenges, Alaric, knowing that you may never return to the life you once knew?" A quiet resolve settled over him. He met her gaze, his answer unwavering. "I accept." With a nod, the oracle raised her hand, and the constellations brightened, their forms blazing into the hall as if each star held the weight of the universe. The path before him glimmered with stardust, a threshold to realms unknown. With a final glance at the oracle, Alaric stepped forward, ready to face the trials that awaited him among the stars. Alaric drifted forward, his gaze fixed upon the luminous triangle of constellations shimmering within the darkness of the Hall of Constellations. The air was thick with expectation, and each step he took felt as if he were crossing deeper into a place beyond time and thought. A realm where the stars themselves pulsed with secrets waiting to be revealed. He felt their ancient light brush against his skin, like whispers of an age-old promise, and a question echoed within him. What sacrifices will I make here? The wolf constellation, with its fierce primal gleam, loomed before him first. Its stars burned with a silvery ferocity, almost alive, each point of light exuding a presence that both called to him and filled him with a sense of dread. As he neared a chill seeped into his bones and the world around him shifted, the hall fading until he found himself in a dense, shadowed forest under a midnight sky. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the rustle of unseen creatures and the haunting echo of his own footsteps. In this dark, unknown place, he felt stripped of the title of prince. Here, he was merely a soul exposed to the raw, merciless darkness. And in the shadows, a pair of silver eyes gleamed, wolf eyes unblinking, fixed on him with a gaze that pierced through to the very core of his being. The wolf stepped forward, massive and spectral, its fur shimmering like threads of moonlight woven into shadow. Its eyes were relentless, mirrors of all the fears Alaric had tried to bury, fears of loss, failure, loneliness. Its growl was low, almost a whisper, resonating in the silence. To claim courage, you must know fear, it spoke, its voice like a shadowed echo in his mind. Show me your heart, Prince. Alaric stood his ground, feeling his pulse pound beneath his skin. Here, under the gaze of the wolf, his defenses crumbled, and every hidden doubt and shadow thought rose to the surface. He saw himself not as a prince, but as a man afraid of failing those he loved, a man haunted by the possibility that his destiny might demand more of him than he could ever give. The wolf's gaze softened, its silver eyes now less a threat and more an invitation. Alaric understood. To hold true courage was not to be fearless, but to face one's fears without flinching. Slowly, he met the wolf's gaze, acknowledging each fear and insecurity that rose within him, no longer fighting them, but letting them settle into acceptance. As he did, he felt something shift within him, a quiet strength, a sense of peace. With a low approving growl, the wolf bowed its head, and the forest around him dissolved, the hall of constellations reappearing, the wolf's constellation pulsing with a soft glow, its trial complete. The oracle's distant gaze rested on him. Her silent approval felt rather than spoken. Alaric took a deep breath, feeling the courage he had claimed settle like armor around his heart. His journey continued, and his steps led him toward the serpent, his form winding through the stars with a sinuous grace, each point of light flickering with an unsettling intensity. This time, when he stepped forward, the hall faded into a twisting corridor of mirrors that stretched endlessly in every direction. Each mirror reflected not his physical form, but a distorted version of himself. Faces twisted in anger, sorrow, greed, and pride. Reflections of facets of his own soul he had long tried to ignore. In the center of this mirrored maze coiled the serpent, its scales shimmering with colors that shifted like oil upon water, its eyes sharp and knowing. Its voice was soft, a hiss that echoed through the mirrored maze. "Do you know yourself, Prince?" it whispered, winding closer. "Can you discern what is true and what is but a shadow?" As Alaric gazed into the reflections, doubt clouded his vision. Which image was truly him? Was he the proud prince, the frightened boy, the man seeking purpose? The serpent's eyes glinted, watching him, waiting. Alaric closed his eyes, feeling through each reflection, each distorted image, letting go of judgment until he saw what lay beneath each mask. A soul, bound neither by title nor fear, but a soul pure in its longing for truth. When he opened his eyes, the maze of mirrors shattered, falling away like fragments of stardust. The serpent inclined its head, its approval silent yet palpable, and the whole once again took shape around him. Alaric felt a lightness, a clarity within, a strength born not from pride, but from understanding. One trial remained. Before him, the phoenix flared, its constellation ablaze, a shimmering conflagration of rebirth and transformation. Alaric stepped forward, the air thickening with heat, until he was surrounded by flames that flickered and swirled with the colors of dawn. Crimson, gold, and indigo. The heat was intense, but within it he felt a strange, welcoming warmth. The phoenix's voice filled his mind, a sound both fierce and compassionate. To transcend, you must release all that you are. Only in surrender will you rise anew. Alaric felt his heart tremble at the enormity of the words. Surrender everything? His memories, his identity, the life he had once held so dear. Yet as he stood within the flames, he realized he had already crossed that threshold. This journey had transformed him, stripped him of everything but his soul's essence, his desire for truth. With a calm acceptance, he let go. He released his title, his past, his fears, even his memories of home, until he stood as a soul unburdened. The flames surged, enveloping him in a cocoon of fire, and he felt his being melt and reform, an experience beyond words, beyond the confines of mortal understanding. When the flames finally receded, Alaric emerged, his form shining with the light of the stars, a true soul-bearer, bound to the heavens and the earth. He felt the whole shift around him, the stars themselves seeming to bend in reverence. The oracle's voice whispered in his mind, soft and approving, "You are ready, Alaric, for the secrets of the stars." And as he stood, reborn and radiant, the final secrets of the celestial realms began to unfold, shimmering in the light of the eternal. As the hall of constellations faded, Alaric found himself standing on a narrow bridge woven from stardust, stretching into a boundless night. The stars above him shimmered, an endless tapestry, each point of light a story, a memory, a soul woven into the fabric of the universe. Alaric could feel his own essence resonating with them, a rhythm of stardust and spirit, a silent song only he could hear. He was ready, or so he told himself, though the enormity of the trials he had yet to face weighed upon him. The first step upon the bridge led him into the realm of the wolf. He felt a shiver ripple through the air, as if a silent watcher waited in the shadows, hidden yet omnipresent. The stars around him dimmed, and the world shifted once more, transforming into a vast midnight forest. Tall, ancient trees loomed overhead, their branches twisting in serpentine patterns, blotting out all but a few fragments of the night sky. And then, from the depths of the forest, he heard it. A low, rumbling growl that echoed like distant thunder, reverberating through his bones. He took a steadying breath, feeling the presence of the wolf all around him. A creature that was both shadow and silver light, woven from the very essence of fear and strength. Alaric! The wolf's voice filled the air, a spectral whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Do you think yourself brave? Do you believe courage to be an absence of fear? The wolf's gaze, piercing and ancient, appeared through the thick darkness, two eyes that glowed with a feral intelligence, a depth that saw through to the core of him. Alaric felt his heartbeat quicken, not from terror, but from the understanding that he was facing a part of himself that he had always ignored, always evaded. He stepped forward, his voice steady, though his heart thrummed with the enormity of the wolf's gaze. I don't know what courage truly is, he confessed, but I believe it means moving forward, even when fear stands in the way. The wolf's growl softened, becoming a low hum that seemed almost like approval. To be brave is to walk into darkness with the knowledge that you may be swallowed whole. The wolf moved closer. A creature of shadow and light, its form shifting with each step. Are you prepared to face your own shadows, Alaric? To confront the doubts and fears you hold within and let them shape you? He swallowed, feeling the truth of the words settle within him. And as he met the wolf's gaze, he felt a shift, a surrendering to the vulnerability within himself. The forest around him flickered, and the shadows seemed to dissolve, leaving only the stars. The wolf's image faded, leaving behind a silent blessing, a whisper of strength etched into his spirit. The bridge stretched on, and Alaric continued his journey, the stars brighter now, as if applauding his first step. And yet, his path was far from over. The serpent constellation glowed ahead, a sinuous line of stars shimmering like a coil of liquid silver. As he stepped forward, he felt the space around him transform, the stardust bridge shifting into a dark mirrored corridor, endless reflections stretching on either side. Alaric took a hesitant step, his image mirrored 1,000 times over, each reflection slightly warped, a subtle twist of anger in one, a flicker of sorrow in another, pride in a third. Each mirror held a piece of him, a hidden facet of his own soul, parts of himself he had perhaps tried to ignore or deny. The serpent appeared before him, its body undulating like a living ribbon of starlight, its gaze sly and knowing. "Do you know yourself, Prince?" it asked, its voice a soft, hissing echo. "Can you discern truth from illusion? To see clearly, You must look within without fear. The serpent coiled around him, its eyes unblinking as it forced him to confront each reflection. Alaric felt the sting of shame as he saw his pride, the weight of sadness in his regrets, the flicker of anger that simmered beneath the surface. And yet he understood that each reflection was a piece of him, a truth he could not deny or abandon. Taking a steadying breath, he whispered to himself, "To see clearly, I must accept all parts of who I am." And as he did, each mirror began to soften, the harshness of the reflections dissolving, until he was left with only a single, unified image, one that held both light and shadow, strength and vulnerability. The serpent's gaze softened, its form shifting into a wisp of stardust that wrapped around him like a silent promise. True sight lies not in what is seen, but in what is understood, it whispered. And then it was gone, leaving Alaric standing alone on the stardust bridge once more. Ahead of him burned the Phoenix constellation, the final trial. Its stars blazed with a fierce, almost unbearable light. And as he approached, the air filled with a heat that seemed to press against his skin, as though the very flames of rebirth waited to consume him. The Phoenix's voice was soft yet powerful, a sound that held both comfort and command. To transcend, Alaric, you must surrender all that you are. Only in letting go will you be reborn. He felt a sudden weight in his heart, a tug that made him hesitate. To release his memories, his identity, to step beyond the boundaries of his very self. This was the most daunting trial of all. Yet he knew it was the only way forward. Slowly, with a deep, steadying breath, he let go. He released each memory, each bond, each fragment of identity, allowing himself to become something beyond mortal constraints. The flames of the Phoenix wrapped around him, a fierce, consuming fire that scorched away all that he had been. And in that fiery embrace, he felt his soul crack open, becoming something new, something boundless. When the flames finally receded, he stood renewed, a being woven from starlight and spirit, his heart beating with the wisdom of the trials he had endured. The bridge before him dissolved, and he found himself back in the Hall of Constellations, the stars shimmering with approval. Alaric felt the quiet weight of fulfillment within him, knowing he had passed through the trials, transformed, his essence bound forever to the secrets of the stars. When Alaric returned to the Hall of Constellations, he felt as if he were walking within a dream, one foot in the world of mortal experience, the other rooted in something far grander, a timeless mystery known only to the stars. His steps no longer echoed. Instead, they seemed to merge with the quiet rhythm of the universe itself. The trials had stripped away the familiar layers of his being, leaving him bare, renewed, and glowing faintly with the same celestial light that filled the heavens around him. He knew deep within that he was no longer merely a prince of earthbound kingdoms. He was now a soul-bearer, a keeper of the secrets hidden within the endless night. Before him, the star-bound oracle awaited, her form blending with the starlit shadows, her eyes gleaming with an ancient pride. She raised a hand, and the hall shifted, the constellations that had guided his journey brightening, as if to honor the transformation he had undergone. The oracle's voice, low and timeless, filled the space between them, binding the silence with a gravity that resonated deep within Alaric's core. "You have returned, Alaric," she said, her gaze both distant and knowing. A soul reborn, bound no longer to the illusions of fear or pride, but to the truth that lies beyond. You have become part of the stars, and in you their secrets shall live. As her words settled within him, Alaric felt a sudden wave of understanding, a knowing that seemed to transcend thought, flowing into his being as effortlessly as breath. He was no longer merely himself. He was a conduit, a vessel through which the ancient wisdom of the stars could whisper to the world below. This was his purpose, his destiny woven from stardust and spirit. The oracle lifted her hand, and with a soft, sweeping motion, the air around them transformed, becoming a swirling tableau of distant galaxies, nebulae, and worlds unknown. Alaric watched, entranced, as the secrets of the cosmos unfolded before him, each image imbued with meaning that seeped into his very being. "This, Alaric, is the dawn of secrets," the oracle said, her voice carrying the weight of endless ages. "It is a revelation gifted only to those who have embraced the trials, those willing to see the universe not as something outside themselves, but as part of their very soul." In the vision before him, he saw the threads of light that connected each star, each world, each soul, weaving together into an intricate tapestry. It was a web of energy, pulsating and alive, binding all existence in a cosmic harmony that resonated like the beating of a giant celestial heart. Alaric understood now that this was the essence of the star's secret, that all things, from the greatest galaxy to the smallest particle, were bound together by threads unseen, a unity born of stardust and silence. Yet, as he continued to gaze, he saw something else, a shadow slipping between the stars, a dark presence that gnawed at the edges of the cosmic fabric, seeking to unravel the delicate balance that held the worlds together. It was a force that thrived on fear and separation, feeding off the divisions and illusions of mortality. Alaric felt a chill run through him as he recognized the danger this darkness posed, not just to his kingdom, but to all worlds within the reach of the stars. The oracle's gaze darkened, and her voice, though still calm, carried a note of urgency. "This is why you were called, Alaric. The darkness stirs, seeking to fragment the unity of the cosmos. Only a soul-bearer, One who has passed through the trials can hold the light against it. The stars have gifted you their wisdom, their strength, but it is you who must choose to stand against the encroaching night. Alaric felt the weight of this destiny settle over him, a quiet, resolute purpose filling him like a steady flame. He understood now that his journey was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. The trials had prepared him not only to carry the secrets of the stars, but to protect them, to safeguard the balance that held the cosmos together. With a deep breath, he met the oracle's gaze, his voice filled with the quiet conviction of a soul that had been tested and reborn. "I accept this calling," he said, each word resonating within the hall of constellations. "I will be a guardian of the star's light, a defender of the unity that binds all things." The oracle's face softened, a glimmer of pride flickering in her ancient eyes. She raised her hand once more, and a single star descended from the heavens, glowing brighter than any he had seen, hovering just before him. It was his, a fragment of the cosmos that had chosen him, a light bound to his spirit, a guide through the dark unknown. "This star is now bound to you, Alaric," the oracle said, her voice gentle yet powerful. "In times of shadow, it will light your path. In moments of doubt, it will remind you of the journey you have taken, of the courage and clarity you carry within. Guard it well, for it holds the essence of all that you are." Alaric reached out, and as his hand touched the star, he felt a surge of warmth, a pulsing glow that wrapped around him, filling him with a strength that felt as timeless as the night. The light settled within his chest, a gentle, eternal flame that would remain with him, a reminder of his bond to the stars and his promise to defend their light. The hall of constellations began to fade, the stars shifting back into their places within the night sky. Alaric felt himself descending, his spirit returning to the world below, yet transformed, forever bound to the secrets of the stars. As he landed softly on the palace balcony, the first light of dawn touched the horizon, and he gazed upward, his heart swelling with the knowledge of his journey.